Part 2, King Leopold, the Empire That Never Slept. If you found this story haunting, remember, history doesn't stay buried. It waits for those brave enough to uncover it. Because truth, no matter how long it sleeps, always wakes. When the truth about the Congo began leaking into European newspapers, King Leopold went into overdrive to save his image. He launched what we'd now call a disinformation campaign, pamphlets, press statements, even exhibitions showcasing the Congo as a land of progress and prosperity. He hired writers, priests, and even scientists to defend him, branding critics as traitors or anti-Belgian propagandists. They are jealous, Leopold declared, of the noble work Belgium has done in Africa. But while the king crafted lies in marble halls, the Congo was still bleeding. The forced public continued its rampage. Rubber quotas grew higher, punishments harsher. The jungle echoed with screams that Europe refused to hear. Morel refused to back down. His campaign, the Congo Reform Association, became the first international human rights movement in modern history. He traveled across Europe and America, gathering testimonies, photographs, and the courage of those who had seen the horror firsthand. Roger Casement, the British diplomat who investigated on site, risked everything to publish the Casement Report, a document so shocking it ripped through polite European society like a lightning bolt. The natives are not being civilized, Casement wrote. They are being destroyed. Churches began preaching against the Congo horror. Newspapers published haunting images of children with severed limbs. Public outrage grew louder. The mask of Leopold's benevolence began to crack. But the king had one weapon left: silence. He ordered all Congo state documents burned, thousands of records, reports, and letters, anything that could link him to his crimes. When asked later about the fires, he coldly replied, "There are no crimes in the Congo, only progress." By 1908, the world had had enough. Under immense pressure from Britain, America, and human rights activists, Leopold was forced to relinquish the Congo to the Belgian parliament. The Free State became the Belgian Congo, no longer his personal property. But what the world didn't realize was this: the system of exploitation didn't vanish overnight. It simply changed hands. The new government promised reform, but the labor camps, the forced work, and the violence continued for decades. The scars ran too deep to heal quickly. King Leopold II retreated into his palaces, bitter and isolated. He died the following year in 1909, unloved by his people, cursed by history. And when his funeral procession passed through the streets of Brussels, the crowd turned their backs. No applause. No mourning. Only silence. Even in death, Leopold's shadow loomed large. His wealth, billions in today's money, built monuments, museums, and royal estates that still stand. But beneath those polished stones lie ghosts, millions of them. Fathers who never came home. Children who vanished into the forests. Villages wiped from existence. Some say that in the heart of the Congo, near the banks of the great river, there are still rusted chains buried in the soil, chains that once bound men in Leopold's name. Others say you can still hear the whispers of those who died, calling out for a justice that never came. Yet amid this darkness, heroes rose. Morel and Roger Casement became symbols of moral resistance, men who chose truth over comfort, humanity over power. Casement later fought for Irish independence and was executed by the British in 1916, betrayed by the same empire he once served. Morel continued his activism until his final days, haunted but unbroken. Their courage inspired generations, proof that even a handful of voices can shake an empire. The only crime worse than evil, Morel once said, is silence in the face of it. Today, more than a century later, Leopold's Congo remains a painful wound. Modern Congo, once called the heart of darkness, is still rich in resources and still suffering from exploitation, corruption, and foreign greed. History has a way of repeating itself when the world refuses to remember. When statues of Leopold were defaced in recent years, some cried that it was an attack on heritage. But for millions of Africans, it was a cry for acknowledgement, for truth. Because the Congo Free State wasn't just a colony. It was one of history's greatest crimes, and one of humanity's greatest failures to stop it in time. The Congo River still flows, wide and silent, through the same forests where Leopold's men once marched. The water glitters under the African sun, peaceful now, but carrying memories deep beneath its surface. If rivers could speak, what would they say? Would they tell of the greed that turned paradise into hell? Would they whisper the names of the forgotten millions? Or would they simply remind us? Empires rise, kings die, but truth endures. As the story fades, the final words linger. He took everything from the Congo. But in the end, the Congo took his soul. The end.